Some of the things I love to see in the people I interact with, interview on this podcast, and work with in general are longevity, excellence, and social impact. And the person we're speaking to today offers all three in abundance. We're speaking to one of the most prolific creatives in the Zambian industry. She has had brand partnerships that we can only dream of. She has grown her most popular one of her most popular ventures, the Wood Kitchen, from starting out in the kitchen at home to being this big regional brand, which I am very, very proud of. And aside from that, at the core of everything she does seems to be an element of social impact. She is the UN AIDS Goodwill Ambassador, and most recently she was appointed as one of the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals supporters. Lulu Haangala-Wood, welcome to the Kind Regards podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited to have you.
I'm honored to
And
be
as
here.
you know, I told you, I was like, I had you on my list for like close to a year. I'm like, I need to have her on. So I'm so happy that you agreed to come on.
You were on my list of podcasts that should want to have me on. So I'm humbled. Like, really, I love your podcast. I think you've done such an amazing job, and it's always really interesting to listen to. So this is really an honor.
Awesome. So before we get into the actual interview, I want us to have some icebreakers. Just so we can get to know a little bit of the Lulu behind the scenes. So my first one is, do you prefer cooking or baking?
Baking.
What's your favorite thing to bake?
Cake, because that's what everyone wants from me. So I really, really love baking cakes. I love the science behind it. I love how my home smells after I bake. So yeah, cakes are my thing.
And what's your favorite thing to eat?
My favorite thing I love fish.
Okay.
I love fish. I love meat in general. I was a vegetarian most of my early life.
Yeah.
So I do love a good steak, good fish, good chicken. Like, I love my meat.
Yeah. What is something you never leave the house without?
My phone.
Same.
Okay, I was going to say something else, but I'll be respectful. But it's a piece of garment that I cannot physically, like, if I have left home without that garment, I will come back home no matter where I am. And I think I've only forgotten it once in my adult life.
I'm going to make sure I ask you more about this.
Yes.
What is a common misconception you think people have about you?
That I am very sociable, like that Lulu is out there, with loads of friends and always out. I am such a homebody, and my true circle is actually quite small.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
fair. And I think when you're a public figure, people feel like they know you and are in relationship with you.
Yeah.
Because of how much, they see you online and how much of your life you share and so on.
And I think it is a relationship, even with certain acquaintances that assume it's a friendship. I've had to define what that means and also sort of place different people in the different boxes and understand that they are where they are, and that's okay. And understand who truly is in the close-knit circle and that truly matter. But homebody, everyone assumes I'm always out somewhere doing something. If I'm not working, I'm home.
Yeah, home. Okay. Awesome. So tell me, who is Lulu Haangala-Wood? The person, the professional, and everything in between.
To sum up a lot of who I am, I think I would say a creative. I think I was born to be creative. And a lot of my professional life is around creativity.
Yeah.
So in every aspect of work that I've done in my adult life, there's always been a very creative aspect to it. Except for the bank job. But maybe I had to be creative in how I spoke to my clients. But yeah, I'm a full-on creative entrepreneur, and a mother, a wife, a woman of faith, and a lover of family. You you know I love family. You walked into my home today and you found little kids around because that's what I love. I love my family. I love bringing people together and building community. That's something that's really important to me and impacting my community. So I'm big on community and family.
And I must say, you said I walked into your home today. You're such a tender mother. Like with... So we were in the kitchen and Caleb walked in and you were like, "Hi, my baby." I'm like, oh, what I would give to be greeted that way every morning.
You didn't get the song because like he was actually screaming from his room for me to come to the room because there's a song that goes with the wake ups. Oh. We live in our own little musical.
That's so cute. I'm like, oh, that's so beautiful and so tender.
Yeah.
Speaking of family, family seems to have been a big part of your career. Starting from you being on screen from a young age, singing with your dad at a young age, and now to where you are, where you work with your husband. Sometimes we'll see you with your children on screen. How do you feel that growing up on screen and working with family has shaped you? And how do you think that compares to you doing it now in the adult life, being a wife and a mother?
I think it really prepared me working with dad. I started singing at 4 years old and someone might say, you were just singing at church. It was work. And dad always says sometimes he regrets the fact that I didn't have what is a normal childhood. I didn't get to play.
Yeah.
And he says, maybe that's why you've got such a personality. You know, people find me a bit too playful sometimes.
You can never be.
Yeah. Some people think that's an issue, but I think that comes from not having a lot of it when I was much, much younger. But what it taught me was to be a bit more detail-oriented, organized, to plan. Before we would go to sing, there were certain things I could and couldn't do. I couldn't eat certain food. I couldn't do certain things. And that was really important. Dad really emphasized on that. So it taught us also a sense of responsibility and understanding that with the success of your singing, Lulu, as people watch you, you're responsible then for how you act because then you influence their life. There wasn't like anything like influencer at the time, but my dad and mom really put that into me to say, you're a person of influence even if you're a child. So you need to understand the responsibility that comes with that. So fast forward into working in a family business now with my husband, I think I saw how my parents worked together. It was never termed a business, but it was. Yeah. You know, after singing, we needed to sell cassettes. So there was marketing, and marketing was going out to all these different churches and concerts, but also working with people that were much older than me, or being in rooms with people in power, you know, with people who are in power, whether it's in the church or in a government. It taught me how to relate with them from a very young age. Yeah. So it's not, I don't walk into a room and I'm, you know, shocked by power. I think I can move with grace in such rooms. And I learned that from a tender age working with mom and dad. Yeah. And so that helps me then now to help my children understand how to relate with older people, how to relate with people in power, and just how to relate with work and help them understand that, yes, you would like to play, but for now, we're going to try to create a balance for you to understand where your school fees come from. So maybe it's a good thing or a bad thing, because now my son, even my daughter used to do this. They walk into ShopRite and I've found a number of people stop me and say, did your son just say no to you buying him something? And Caleb will look at them and say, yeah, it's a waste of money. You know, they understand the value of money and all the things that I learned really, in short, from just working with dad have come back to help my current journey with the Wood Kitchen, have helped what happened before the Wood Kitchen to build us, to get us to where we are.
That's beautiful. And what I'm hearing is that because you spent so much of your life working, you've had such longevity, you've basically grown with the industry. Yeah. Tell me how you've seen the industry evolve over the past few decades you've been in it.
So much has changed. At the time I started out in the industry, the gatekeepers of the industry were traditional media. So you wanted to get your art out there,
Mm-hmm.
you needed to go through a TV station, and there were all these different protocols and channels to be able to get you out there if you even could get there.
Yeah.
There was radio, there was newspapers. So there were these gatekeepers that didn't create this freedom of expression.
Yeah.
And now content is more democratic. You can get it out there. You can create your own platform.
Yeah.
You're seeing more communities being built. You're seeing the rise of the influencer. They were versions of what an influencer is then, but not as in a powerful way like it is now. It's more the traditional media created the influencer.
Yeah.
You couldn't create yourself. And that's what is different now. I think what's more challenging is you need to be ready to evolve, to stay relevant in how fast-paced and the new technologies that are coming out. You really need to be aware, or else you're left behind. And so that's something that I've had to constantly be aware of. How do you continue to stay relevant while still being authentic? And I think that's another thing that has really come out. Authenticity wins in this day and age, Sometimes with traditional media, you had to be a certain way. And that's no longer a thing now. Authenticity is really thriving. But in your authenticity, still understanding how to stay relevant has become very, very important.
I find it interesting that you're spoken about relevance, right? And staying on top of the game, because when I look at your work with the Wood Kitchen, your social impact work, I definitely see the development and growth, and we touched on this previously before the interview started. But it's also something your husband said earlier. He was like, you need to stay on top of the game and be aware, because aside from changes in the tech space and all of that, even the creatives are creating so differently.
Yes.
How do you practically stay on top of everything to just stay relevant?
To be honest, I feel like we've been able to stay relevant, or keep trying to stay relevant in this space by firstly understanding who we are, our why, and that is really important for me, understanding that before we do anything. Who we are, where we are going, why are we doing what we are doing, and trying to get your team around you to understand that, and see what sets you apart, like what's your niche, and never running away from that, because that's what makes you special. So everyone is like, there's so many amazing food creators coming on board, and they are creating better quality, and I'm excited about that, because one of the things that we really love to do as the Wood Kitchen is also highlight anyone that's doing amazing things in the culinary space. We want to highlight their work, because we've also come to understand that despite the fact that it might be looked at as competition, we don't necessarily see it that way. It's a young industry, and we've been blessed to be in a position to help grow that industry and find resources to grow that industry, or find opportunities for the people who are constantly creating to thrive. So I think collaboration firstly has also helped us. Someone might have looked at that as, but you're in competition with them, but being able to collaborate with them or highlight them has actually helped us stay relevant. So we've got the Wood Kitchen takeovers. We've got the CCC, the Culinary Creator Club that we've created. We've had our first event. We're going for a next one. We're bringing the community together. That has helped actually us stay relevant, but also constantly growing ourselves and growing the quality of our work and being consistent. That has been very important to us. We started out shooting on an S9, a Samsung S9. We would go live with it. Then someone said, iPhones take really great pictures, and I was a Samsung girl, and shocker, iPhone took a fantastic picture. And then we started using the iPhone, and I started understanding the iPhone a bit more, and I started taking videos with it. So we started on the 10, what is it called, X? And later moved on to 13 Pro Max, later moved on to 15 Pro Max, later started working with teams and being very particular about the teams. At that time, long form content was doing quite well. Then the algorithm changed and short form content was doing better. So cut out the bigger team and started shooting ourselves on the phone, because at the time, the team we were working with were not understanding what we needed from short form.
Yeah.
But that took a lot of learning and understanding and staying teachable and unlearning bad habits we had on the phone and how we thought you're supposed to use it, and natural light and unnatural light and backgrounds and, you know, and what we are cooking and how the color pops, the type of plates we use, what that communicates. When you use a certain plate, when you use a certain cup, how does that communicate to someone? So you're thinking of all those things. So in order to stay relevant, I think there's been a lot that has gone into it. Strategy has been a big one. Collaboration, creating systems within the business that help us run more efficiently has also really helped us.
The fact that you're saying you started out on an S9, and when I look at some of your work now, like one of my favorite pieces of content that I've seen from you guys is when you're on a trip somewhere and you got stuck and you created content. And first of all, the video quality was crisp.
Thank you.
But it felt almost like a mini documentary. You know, you had the drone. It was so cool. So I love that. But I want us to take a step back, because we've been talking about the wood kitchen here and there. And I want us to just discuss the origin story of the wood kitchen and what the secret sauce to its growth and success has been. And I hope you people picked up on the pun. I said secret sauce.
Yeah.
We're in the kitchen, we're cooking.
Oh, I know how to do this. Listen, I'm a cool kid too. Or is it this?
This.
Oh, now it's this.
I have a Gen Z sister.
Okay. I saw this somewhere and I was like, what is that? I'm like, okay, I need to try it somewhere. Now I know. Well, the wood kitchen really started from our love for cooking. I think my background is I grew up in communities that were very remote. And it was a Christian community, and we did a lot of potlucks. So we, you know, on Sabbath, which was, you know, when we'd go to church, a lot of the families would come together. And these were families from over 30 different countries. And it made me appreciate different cultures and different food. Though my mom was very into the traditional, you know, foods, and absolutely love how she honors the true flavor of food. I think that influenced my love for also just exploring. Give me frog legs, I'll eat them, I'll taste. And I've had
I'll
before.
try everything once.
Yeah, I'll try. And if I like it, actually, I liked frog legs. I ordered them a couple of times when I was in China after tasting them for the first time.
Wow.
But yeah, my palate explores, and I love that.
Yep.
My husband grew up in a home where they cooked slightly more fancy food than I grew up eating. And in their home, my mother-in-law insisted that the boys should also cook. So he grew up cooking and went on to study hospitality, which had a bit of a kitchen element. So people think he's a chef. He's not a chef. He just absolutely loves food. And so when we came together, for me in marriage, it was a challenge.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to cook better than his mother, his sisters better than him. So I was always trying something new. So
bit of a competitive spirit there.
Yeah. Well, I'm a Zambian woman and I had just gotten the training and been told you need to cook, you know.
Yeah.
So there's that pressure on your mind to say you need to be able to host your family, his family, and impress both sides and impress his friends who grew up for me in a very different class than I did. So that was a lot of pressure. So I started trying to learn and understand. And one of the things I did that maybe really birthed the wood kitchen was I started sharing in my stories, you know, I'm trying this. Oh, I burnt it. Oh, this actually turned out great. And people would ask for recipes and I share. My husband didn't mind his hands showing. So fast forward to us being in COVID and things are not really working out with what we're doing at the time. It was looking at what do we have in our hands? Like, what can we do to survive and with what we have? And what we had was this cooking that people seemed to be interested in. There was a clear market for it. And so that's how we started, you know, started out. Vince from Creative Kingdom actually did our first pictures. And
I love Vince.
Yeah.
I've done some shoots with him. Yeah.
And my team at the time, I was working with AfriShop. We had Nala, Norma, Amy, Sampa. They all just chipped into something. I kept on telling them, my husband and I can't be broke, guys. Like, we just can't. So I know this
It's a
business
matter
is
of
going down,
survival.
but there's a matter of survival here. So guys, help me. So Sampa, who worked with me at the time, also created our website. You know, Amy and Nala were there busy doing the food styling. And so it was a real team effort.
Yeah.
My husband, I remember, got so frustrated the first shoot we ever had because he just wasn't used to cameras around and how long it takes to get a shot. But finally, it started. So that was the genesis of the Wood Kitchen. But I think the secret sauce has been the teams we've worked with, and teams that have come to understand like what we do and helped us, you know, continue to grow. But at the heart of it also is the relationship William and I have. And we constantly have to remind ourselves that this relationship is what made this business a success. It was different. That was one of the main differences, that a couple from Zambia are cooking and sharing content. And when someone goes online and says, I'm looking for a cookie recipe, chocolate chip cookie recipe, that our recipe might pop up. And it goes beyond just the recipe, though. It goes to our story.
Yeah.
So we're telling stories. It's storytelling of a Zambian couple, a Zambian family, Zambian foodies, Zambian food culture. We're selling this to the world. Yeah. So it's deeper than just the recipes. Yeah. It's, you know, in the power in the storytelling, the teams that bring it to life. Again, I'll talk about the systems that have been put in place to make it thrive, because without the systems, it would be a very disorganized bunch. Our family, our children understanding that this is a business, and them, you know, really inputting. Like, our daughter is 17 now, and she really brings up cool ideas for, you know, what we can do. We've got a very young team, and they always also bring up fresh ideas. So it wouldn't just be the success of just the recipes or just William and I. It's a bit more than that.
I love that you keep going back to systems, because I think when people think of the creative space, people think you just roll out of bed and you just film stuff, right? And as part of my intro, I talked about how you worked with brands that, you know, a lot of creatives can only dream of. You know, you have like a long-standing partnership with Road Foods and many more to mention. So I imagine that putting out the type of content that you put out at the quality and level and scale that you do it, you do need to have vision, strategy, and, like you've said, systems. What are some of the behind the scenes things that you've had to have in place to ensure that everything is running smoothly, and that even just the level of professionalism? I mean, if you're working with a brand, you need to be moving like a professional.
Yeah.
Right? So what are some of those core elements that you have running behind the scenes that
I think when it comes to systems, understanding technologies that can make our lives easier, and then that can make things move easier. When you're working with, you know, production, not everyone on our team works in person with us. We've got third parties, like we shoot, but there's an external editor that actually edits the content to give enough time to the person that's shooting to focus on the shooting. But before the shoot, a lot of people don't know this, but we actually script our work. So firstly, you need to understand what is the brand we're working with. What is the brief for this brand? What does the brand want to communicate to the audience? What do we as a Wood Kitchen want to communicate about this brand or educate about? And there's the aspect of educating on brands is a huge part for us. We found that not a lot of brands were educating. They were just putting brands on the market and assuming everybody knows how to use it. And yet I always say what is exciting about Zambia is a lot hasn't been done.
True.
So a lot of people will not know. And I love walking into different spaces. And, you know, a judge once came to me and says, Lulu, thank you for teaching me how to use different spices beyond black pepper and curry. You helped me understand that, and that made me happy. But that came from actually sitting down, understanding the product, understanding what the brand wants to communicate, then creating a brief, a content plan, creating the shot list, the script, and then handing it over to the team who are following it also. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And there's the assumption that, they just shoot and go. And then after that, what technology can we use to smoothly send this to our editor? He sends it back without losing quality. There's all that that's involved. So understanding the technology that helps our work, but also the strategy. Not all the brands we've worked with just came to us. We had to think around, where do we want to be in the next 5 years? Some of the people we are currently working with, we started thinking about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So how do we attract them without even going to them? And before you get the what, we had the why. And that's where the strategy is for us. We look at, why do we want to do this? Why do we want to work with them? Then what do we need to put in place to make sure that can happen? To make sure that we are top of mind when they think of us, or when they think of the food industry, who is top of mind?
Yeah.
How can we position ourselves in that way? But then how can we now go back and help the bigger community to also grow? Yeah. What do we want to be charging in the next 5 years for the work that we do? And how is that going to impact? How are we reinvesting into the content and the creation of the content? How are we reinvesting? Are we understanding what it takes? Are we studying to understand what others are doing? So we go out and learn a lot. Like the South African market continues to teach us a lot, and we invest in going there to learn. A lot of times we're not being paid to go, but we take ourselves there to learn. So those have been some of the behind the scenes things that have really been able to help us. And collaboration, you will hear me speak about this a lot. Yeah. Collaboration, that has helped us truly grow. A good example that is quite public is the Black Garlic collaboration. We have helped each other's brands in so many ways. We've understood each other's strengths and weaknesses and been able to use that to the advantage of both parties. Yeah. And even there behind the scenes, a lot of work goes into it, a lot of calls, thinking about what next, where next. There's some plans that are in the works that might only materialize in the next 5 to 10 years with us. But there's a lot of thought, strategy, and time put into whatever we do.
So one of the key things that I've taken away from what you've said is strategic positioning, right? So if someone comes to you, say Zamiwe from down the street, comes to you and says, I want to strategically position myself and be visible to XX brand, whether it's me building my personal brand or for my business or whatever. What are the practical things that I can actually do to gain that visibility without having to go and knock on the door to say, hey, please pay me, please partner with me? What advice you could give in that regard?
There's a lady online that I've got great respect for. Her name is Angie. I think people don't give her enough respect for the work that she's been able to do in the influencer space. She actually put up a post the other day and said, tag them.
She's Zambian?
She's Zambian.
Okay.
You should follow her. She's a YouTube creator that has made a lot of money on YouTube. But for some reason, people don't really know about her. I keep trying to share such people online for people to understand how she's not making the money from the local businesses. It's actually international brands that she's working with and that are paying her to do the work. And she's been putting out content recently about how to position yourself. And I just thought I'd mention her, and hopefully you can Google her and find her. But she spoke about, once your content is good, it's consistent, you're improving on your quality. Yeah. As you work with different brands you're working with, or the brands that you want to work with in the future, if you've got their product, mention them, tag them, get noticed by them, go to their events, say something about it. They will notice you. They will not. This person consistently talks about us, continuously is mentioning us, or mentioning a cause that we are also passionate about. She is showing us what she is doing. They won't know unless you show them. So I think that is one thing I would say. Make them see it, force them to see it. And it doesn't always have to be online. Sometimes it's in person. Let them see you at all their different events.
Like this one
Being there, ask a question and research what question you want to ask before. Really listen in the room so that when you ask the question, they remember you. I think I've said this before. One of my mentors once told me, Lulu, at this point where you are in your life, this big hair, bright clothing that you're wearing will get you noticed for the wrong thing. You want people to remember you at this point for what you said, not what you wore, not your crazy hair. He's like, give yourself 10 years. Then you can do whatever hairstyle you want. You can walk in a room with any color. That won't matter. You've built your brand. But for now, you are positioning yourself for the future. And for now, it shouldn't be about what you're wearing, how you're looking. It should be about what they hear you say or where they see you, which spaces they find you in consistently. That will get you noticed. So I thought that was one of the best advice I ever got. So I was very intentional in the past not to be the first to speak, but to really understand what's going on so that when I speak, I'm coming from a place of real knowledge and people notice me in that room. I offered myself up for free work just so that I'm noticed. I did everything I could to get noticed in the right spaces. I tagged the people that I wanted to be noticed by. I did my research on them and then approached them. So for some, I did approach them, but for some, the background work helped me get noticed and they approached me. So I hope that gives some.
It does. It's giving me something. So 2 follow-up questions to that one. How do you balance the advice you're given, which was to tone certain aspects down, with authenticity? And also, sometimes people are afraid to, say, tag a brand because they feel like, okay, if I'm giving them like free publicity, what incentive do they have to work with me? Which I guess maybe is more of a limiting mindset. But I'm keen to hear what your thoughts are on those 2 aspects.
It didn't take away from my authenticity to tone down on my hair. He had seen me in different hairstyles and he just said, well, just choose the more toned down one for now. It's still you. But it was important to understand that there's certain aspects of you that are sort of allowed to freely roam once you get to a certain position. But if you're still growing into it, like when you go to high school and primary school, most high schools and primary schools tell you, you can't do this hairstyle. You have to wear this uniform and you wear it. You don't defy it. It's not necessarily you, but you know that there's an end goal to it. And so sometimes in a bid to to get to where we want to be, sometimes people scream and like, oh, why? You're not allowing me to be myself. But we have been limited to some extent when it comes to authenticity or who we want to really be. It doesn't take away. That was just pieces of clothing or hair. It didn't fully take away from who I am. I still found my style in the muted colors for the time being. I still found myself in the longer pieces of clothing to be respectful to the culture also. So you need to understand that there's aspects of culture that come to play, especially in Zambia also. And now you'll see me in my little short dresses. I love short dresses. But I feel like people have come to understand what I stand for, who I am. And so they know that when she's wearing something short, she's not wearing because she wants a man or she like what the cultural connotations of being a short thing is. They now understand, firstly, who Lulu is. And she slowly introduced this style. And trust me, I didn't just go super short. Like I literally...
Or peeling back there.
I kept peeling back and next to my husband, by the way, because I also understood the cultural context of being a married woman and wearing short things. And so sometimes I'd be in shorts and I'd say, my husband helped me pick my outfit today.
This is what he likes.
Yeah, this is what he likes. I don't need to mention it, but I understand that in the context of where we are,
it's shaping something.
Yes, it is shaping something. So understanding the culture of where you are is also important as you try to continue to grow. you'll still remain authentic, but understand the cultural context of where you are and what is acceptable and not acceptable.
Yeah.
Some might take this advice and some might not, and that's okay. We all have different paths, but that's what worked for me. You also asked the second question.
People feeling like if they're already tagging the brand and giving them this.
Oh, you're giving free publicity. There's only so much you can do for free for a brand. At some point, and you're not doing it daily, okay? But at some point, and I'll give you a real example.
Yeah.
I tagged Samsung like I was a brand ambassador for Samsung until Samsung Africa followed me. They followed me, and the next year they called Samsung Zambia. And my uncle happened to be MD and had said, you can never work with this brand. I am your uncle. They called and said, listen, we want to use your ambassador. He's like, we don't have an ambassador. Said, no, but yeah, you do. That girl, Lulu.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, that's not the ambassador. That girl is crazy. She's my niece. And
She's just a fan.
She's just a fan of the brand. Like, I know she wants to work with the brand, but she can't because they're like, listen, please sign that she's your relative.
Yeah.
And she's getting this because we're getting her because she's actually doing the work. And she's the right person for it. She understands our product. She's there dissing iPhone every corner she can get it, telling people how amazing the iPhone is. We want her to release the S5.
Oof.
And
that's
so
huge.
That was my first real endorsement deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I got it because I did that work. It paid off.
Yeah.
It actually paid off. Brands want someone who's passionate about their brand. And I know because also the rise of the influencer make people think, but no, that one just immediately started getting paid for what they do. That might not be your journey. So if it's not your journey, what are you doing to make sure that you can get paid later?
Yeah.
And part of that is actually making the brands recognize you.
Yeah.
L'Oreal doesn't know Samantha in Zambia. How will they know about you? Tag them. Tag L'Oreal International until they're like, listen, there's this creator from Africa.
And she's always
always popping up and commenting on us. She seems to have a great community around her that engage with her content. We're about to release this new L'Oreal hair or whatever. Let's send her a PR package.
Why not?
It happens first starts with the PR package. Next, they're like, well, she did so well with the PR package. Let's include her in the next campaign and she should get paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
You will not get noticed. I think sometimes people contextualize it to just Zambia, but let's not forget that technology has allowed you to get noticed by international brands.
Yeah.
The only way they'll notice you if you put in the work and get noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So we've spoken a lot about how you've managed the wood kitchen, right? And, the strategies around that and so on. I love that we've somehow segued into this side where we're talking about Lulu and what Lulu has done. Because you also have a formidable personal brand as just Lulu. And when you were speaking about some of the changes that you made in terms of like toning things down, what I'm hearing is that it's really about what's the main thing? What's the main goal you're pursuing? What's the big picture? And it's okay to sacrifice a few things in order to achieve this big thing that you're trying to do. Yeah. And I feel like you're someone who that has really paid off for. Because you have been in some amazing rooms from a young age, I saw something about KK blessing you at the age of 6 with his hanky. And you've been in rooms with people like Barack and Michelle Obama, Robert De Niro, even locally, I don't know, which president have you not been in a room with? One thing you've said before is that you are good at working a room. Like you walk in there and you do what needs to be done. How do you do that? Like for me, if you put me in a room with Michelle and Barack, find me a glass of water. I'll be hiding behind my friend.
Oh, wow.
But I feel like that's an important skill, to be in a place of powerful figures and to still be able to stand confidently and say, actually, yes, I am in this room and I'm not going to waste this opportunity. Right. So tell me about that.
I think my mentor really helped me. One of my mentors really helped me understand that aspect and hone in on it. I think he saw that I was doing it well, and I will credit it to being young and being in those rooms and not really being intimidated by power, but being respectful to it. So there's a difference being the confident and just working a room. You have to be respectful to the power, or else they're dismissive. So being confident but respectful to the power was super important. And I think he saw that that was something I did well. And maybe I also need to mention why I was asked to tone down. What I was targeting needed me to tone down. And I was targeting seats at bigger tables. I was targeting a more corporate audience. And in order for me to get to that targeted audience, those changes needed to happen for them, firstly, to understand who I was, and then the freedom to allow bits and pieces of me to show came. So I just thought I should mention that.
Sorry, but going back, I have a question. At what age did you start setting these targets? Because again, that comes back to strategy, right? So this is like a personal branding strategy masterclass. So at what age did you, or at what point did you decide you wanted to target those rooms?
So I always wanted to be Oprah.
Love it.
As a child, that Oprah was like my icon. And I was fascinated by how she could go from very, great entertainment into very corporate and taken seriously in rooms that were outside of entertainment. So from a young age, I knew Oprah, that's my world. But when I came to Zambia and I started working, I was working in entertainment. I had to really actually go out of who I originally was in order to give my audience the Lulu they needed to be entertained. So my mom actually said, I feel like I've got two different daughters, because I've always known, you do talk, but not that wild personality you are giving. And it shocks a lot of people that I am a bit more toned down and calm in person. Even when I was on the TV Crazy Lulu days, when they would meet me in person, a lot of men would be attracted to that. Oh, she's this wild, cool girl. Then they would meet me in person like, you're boring. Like, because they would build this castle of who they think this Lulu girl is, and it would come crumbling down when they meet me in person. But I think even from TV, I already understood what creating a persona for the specific role was. So for TV, I created a persona. The persona was loud, was funky, was cool. But then I started realizing that if I want to stay relevant longer, and this was around the age of 25, I realized that if I want to be taken seriously, I will need to make some changes. And so at 25, I had told myself by 30, I need to be in certain rooms and be taken seriously. I actually had to work, because for about 5 years, I started working at 21. So by then I'd been working 4 or 5 years in the industry. I had created such a loud persona that I needed to remember how to tone it down, go back to who Lulu really was, who's more toned down. Understand then how to speak in the corporate space. I'd never worked in corporate until I went into the banking sector. I had to do a lot of learning and unlearning. And it actually wasn't going away from my true self. I had created that loud persona. So I came back to who I truly am, but also had to learn, how do they want to be spoken to? And what do I need to wear to be respected in their space? How can I approach them? How can I approach them and they don't dismiss me immediately? So I needed to find a way to approach the corporate space without them dismissing me just because of how I look or how I'm talking. So at 25, I feel that's where the turning point was for me. At 21, there was a turning point for the entertainment space. I became something for that time, for what was needed. But at 25, I knew I can't be 45 and be this girl.
So you're thinking 20 years ahead.
Yes. I was thinking 20 years ahead. I was thinking where I am now. I knew that I needed to be and needed to listen to mentors and to anyone around me that was giving constructive criticism for me to be able to get there. So I think that's super important. For me, it was 25. The game plan changed. The game plan for the 20-year-old Lulu had worked. It had fulfilled its purpose. It had reached the ceiling. And now to break that ceiling and going to the next level, I needed to again remold myself into this person while still staying true to my values and my purpose. So that's never changed.
What are your values and your purpose?
I always say I think I was created to make a difference. Whenever I speak to God, I always say, you know what, God, it's a no-brainer. Clearly, you brought me on this earth to make a difference.
Yeah.
Or else I wouldn't have started, singing and being on stage and being sort of a positive role model from the age of 4 if that was not the plan. So this, I feel, is my purpose. You might change it later on, or maybe guide me into what is really your purpose for me. But for now, what I feel you're communicating to me, Lord, is I was set to make a difference. And so I need to live my life with understanding that is the responsibility I've been given by God. And I value love. I value family. I value my country. I value my continent. Those are very important to me. Whenever I leave Africa, I'm always aware of the fact that someone might be meeting me as an African for the first time, and I'm an ambassador for Africa. Doesn't matter if they're meeting me on the street.
Yep.
I am an ambassador for Africa and for my country.
Yeah.
So I will speak Zambia. I will speak Africa. That's really important to me. I understand the responsibility to try my best to live a life that can be impactful for the next generation. That someone can read my story and say, oh, wow, she did it that way. Things are a bit different now, but I can learn from her.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of our own Zambian stories that we can go and look back to. I love Natasha Mokodian because she's been writing these fiction books, but that tell the story of our Zambian heroes. And I love that because we don't have enough of that. But I want that for the next generation to be able to look back to us and be able to see something that they can learn. So yeah, that's where I think my values and purpose lie.
Beautiful. So I want us to circle back to what we were talking about before. Before I made a detour, side quest, into asking you all of this. So how does one work a room? And I love that you talked about there's a difference between just having that confidence and being respectful of the space. What is the difference? And yeah, how do I navigate a powerful room without feeling intimidated? And how to even practically interact with someone? Like, say I'm shaking hands with the head of state or a big CEO.
I think knowing your elevator pitch is one of them. They call it the elevator pitch. I just say understand who you are and what you want from the interaction. Be very clear to yourself what you want from the interactions as you go. One of my mistakes that I used to make when I used to walk in some of these rooms is I wanted to interact with everybody. And at some point, it might have been important to interact with everyone. It was needed. But then I realized that at some point, I needed to be clear of what I wanted, who I wanted to target, and make sure that I have enough information or enough to say that can sell who I am and what I want from them. And one of the practical examples I always give is while I was in the US on the Mandela Washington Fellowship, we were invited to a UN Foundation event. It was just a mixer cocktail, and we were going to be surrounded by specific individuals. And I did my research to know who some of those people were going to be. And I had targeted 2 specific people that I was hoping at least I can speak to. If I speak to these 2, let them know, let them see me, let them hear me. Hopefully something can come out of it. And I went to the room and everyone is swarming for everyone because, you are 500, African entrepreneurs and change makers, and everyone has their own strategy. So I realized during especially that period that I needed to be a bit more curated in my strategy of how I was going to get the attention of the right person and not just meet everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I met like the vice president of Tesla at the time, and the CEO of Tupperware at the time. Wow. I wasn't in the kitchen, and now sometimes I sit back and I'm like, Lulu, if you had just spoken to that man, he would have been important for you now. But I ignored some of those people because I was so targeted on who I wanted to meet. And finally, I met this man, but I had to get his attention. And someone had, asked him, can we take a picture, which actually became an interview on video. And you could tell the man was a bit irritated and the guy was taking selfie video. So I said, okay, this is my chance. And I went and got the iPad from this guy and said, keep talking, keep talking. And I held that iPad for this, it took about 10-minute interview from what was supposed to be a selfie. But then that caught this guy's attention and he said, thank you. And I'm like, I know you didn't, expect the interview, but I thought I could help you a bit, and that's how I got his attention. But immediately I knew that you literally just have a minute or two to tell this guy who you are. Hi, I'm Lulu. I'm from Zambia. I'm one of the Mandela Washington Fellows. I've always wondered why you just use, brand ambassadors and goodwill ambassadors from, the US or the Angelina Jolies, but she doesn't understand what malaria is. She's never had it. I've had it. And I'm just asking to say, put me in some of those rooms. I'll be ready to talk about how it impacts me in Zambia and how the work that you do actually makes a difference for my community or for the continent. So I just feel you should add local voices to what you do. And if you'd like to chat more about it, this is my number, this is my card, and I'd really love to connect. And he's like, oh, really? Okay, let's email each other.
Wow.
Before I could email him, that night he emailed me and said, you know what? You got me really thinking. But the UN, session is going to be happening very soon. Are you going to be free on these dates? I made sure.
So like, it could have been my wedding and other.
I was gonna be there, but that's how I got an opportunity to go for a UN, the UN sessions, interview Natasha Bedingfield and who are those guys? There's this famous pop, band I got to speak to, and so many other incredible people like the UN Secretary General and so forth. That opportunity came from exactly what we've just spoken about. Going into a room, being targeted, doing my research on who's who, because then I understood what I needed to say to someone like him. My speech to the CEO might have been slightly different, but I knew that this is one of the decision makers in who gets the chance from a creative level to walk into those rooms. So it's important as you walk into that room to understand who am I going to speak to, because it can be quite overwhelming. People that were at your mixer could have literally done the same thing. You had some very powerful people in that room.
Thank you.
And that was a great, you opened up the space for people to be able to do that. But target who you want for what you want. Be respectful to who they are by doing some research. Understand who they are. Read up about them. Go to their social media. A lot of these important people have social media. It might not be big, but just understand who they are so that you have a place to come from. Ask about them. What kind of a person is that person? What do they like? What don't they like? And then approach them from that. Watch their interactions before you approach them to understand how you can approach them too.
Okay. So I'm keen to know what have been the highlights, or what's your favorite highlight, and what's been a low light of your journey?
There have been so many of both. But I feel one of the highlights recently of my journey has been seeing the Wood Kitchen being nominated for an award in the food category, and also for our brand partnerships.
Congratulations on both.
That was especially the brand partnership part. It's because of how much work and strategy and just sleepless nights have gone into just trying to create good brand partnerships and interactions with brands. Like it's something I've been very intentional about, something that I really take personally. My team will tell you, I do not like to disappoint a brand. I sort of live and breathe branding. I feel influencers now are so lucky that you get a brief that says, I just need 2 posts from you and you never have to post about me again.
Yeah.
When I started out, I didn't have that. It's like you're going to live and breathe this brand and you'll be, I go to extremes. I was invited for a Momo event the other day, and despite the fact that I'm not currently working with them on specific projects, I still went in yellow.
Come on.
And I call myself the Momo girl. I really live and breathe brands. So it makes it even hard for competitors to work with me. Again, because, and I tell any brand I work with to say, listen, you want to work with me? I'm sort of a different breed of influencer because I came from a time when I needed to fully immerse myself and embody the brand. And so I don't work with too many brands also, because then I need to authentically connect with the brand. So almost all the brands I work with, I connect with. So when I look at the low light, I would say it hasn't been a personal one, but it's been more a creative one.
Yeah.
Recently, the low light for me has been seeing people not understand the power of their status as influencers or as creatives, and sort of brought an aspect of negativity to the entertainment space that wasn't something Zambian. It wasn't a Zambian thing. And I'm just hoping that we can try to go back to a creative space and industry that is Zambian. And when I say Zambian, it's respectful to the culture of who we are as a people. We are a conservative people. We are a peace-loving people. We are known for that. And I feel that should reflect in creativity tells the stories of our country. And I feel it needs to reflect in how we then, what we put out, in how we conduct ourselves, in order for the storytelling to be just the beautiful storytelling it's always been. So that's been a bit of a low one for me. It's been hitting me hard this year to see some of the things that have been happening and how it's creating this negative discourse around, entertainment and creativity and influencers. So that's been a low one for me. It's not personal, but I take the creative industry very personally.
Because you're so passionate about it. Even when you speak about it, you're like...
I'm extremely passionate about it. So that's been a low one for me this year. But I would keep it at that. I would think I would sum it up into that for the low one.
Okay. So what is something you're looking forward to for Lulu, the person, and the wood kitchen, or however it is you refer to your collective business side?
Just looking to continue to scale. I think that's something that's really important to me, never to sort of stay comfortable. And I'm praying to God that the opportunities continue to come. As you grow older, it's so funny. At 30, I thought, I'm now old. They won't want to work with me. At 35, I felt the same. Now I'm 41. I'm like, well, the industry still need me. Will I continue to grow? Because there's this constant thing about, they use the same faces. And I'm like, I just wish you understood how hard what it took to get this opportunity. And I understand there's a lot of new faces, but there's so much opportunity for all of that right now that it's sort of disheartening when you hear, that connotation say, it's the same person, but everyone is getting really amazing opportunities. And I don't think because you're older in the industry that should end. So I'm just really hoping for growth, continue to scale, continue to impact. I think impact is the biggest thing, especially with community-driven impact. And I'm looking for, a time where we can continue to have seats at global tables to make a difference for not just, my work with women and girls and now with the SDGs, but also when it comes to the culinary space, to be able to put Zambia on a global platform. That has really been part of the new dream, whereas because of the start of the Wood Kitchen, continue to bring my personal brand and the Wood Kitchen brand, but not just ourselves, but bring our community to these tables and be able to make decisions at these tables or create opportunities that come and trickle back into the larger communities that we work with or that we can impact. So that really is where I would like to see Lulu, where I'd like to see the Wood Kitchen. At the heart of it is impact and positive impact, and creating room for others to continue to grow as we grow.
That's beautiful. Lulu, thank you so much for today. It's been such an interesting, dynamic, and enriching conversation.
Thank you.
Before we close, I always ask our guests to leave us with two things: a quote and a call to action that we should go and implement after watching or listening to the episode. So what's your quote and what's your call to action?
Okay, so my quote, that's such an interesting question. I would say, own your story. Use it and allow it to lead someone into better light. I don't know if that's a quotable, but I'll just say own your story. I think it's important that we own our stories and use them for, positive impact. And I think the call to action would be, let's keep moving. Yeah, I always say we keep moving. Yeah. It started as sort of these words that kept me going at a very difficult time in my life, and then grew into this initiative that has impacted others so positively. And I just want, us to just keep moving. Times might be hard, you might face challenges. It might not be a conducive environment for what you want to do. You might be in a spot where the environment just doesn't seem conducive. And sometimes in Zambia, not a lot of people won't understand what you're trying to do, especially if you're trying to do something new.
Yeah.
But my call to you is just keep moving.
Just keep moving.
Just keep moving. Keep going. If we had listened to all the naysayers as the Wood Kitchen, we wouldn't be where we are today. But we kept moving. So please do too.
Keep moving. Thank you so much, Lulu.
Thank you.
It's been such a pleasure talking to you.
It's been amazing talking to you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning into this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have. Make sure you share it with a friend or free, and be sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, etc. Until next time, I'm Begat, Zamiwe.